Welcome everybody, Christina Wolf here, and it's our weekly card pull party. I'm really excited you're here. I'm gonna see if a few people pop on. This week has been kind of intense. You like my hair? I was just at the park with my little boy and I had my hat on, my sun hat. One thing guaranteed, my hair will always be insane. Welcome if you're just popping on. Say hi. Let me know if you'd like a card. So I had a couple things I wanted to share. Hey Bridget, how are you? Thanks for being here. So this week, in particular, I'm going to still use my the Herbal Tarot, but the animal cards are still kind of speaking to me. They always do. And which kind would you like, Bridget? The animal or herbal deck? Let me know there. Well, anyways, this week there was a lot of butterfly and dragonfly energy. Welcome if you're just coming on, and let me know if you'd like a card. And let's see, I'm going to talk about the dragonfly energy here, and then I'm going to do the weekly card pull with the Herbal Tarot. But a couple things I wanted to talk about. One, like I was saying, dragonfly energy is big. There's kind of a sense of disconnect right now, and loneliness, a little bit of grief with the world, especially with Syria and all their stuff going on, and I wanted to talk about that. I really did, because let me just say, I've been through most of us who are at least a couple 30, 40 years old, have been through several airstrikes with the U.S. doing some, and I've been on different ends of the spectrum here. Hello to everybody who's just joining, Shelly, Christy, Charlotte. Let me know if you'd like a card, and if you'd like an herbal or a animal card, the animal medicine card. And so anyways, I was mentioning the thing. Hi Hope, how are you? Christy, let me know if you said you like a card. Which kind would you like? Charlotte, how about you? Would you like a card? And Hope, let me know. I'll put a question mark. I'm sure you all would love one. Just let me know what kind. So my friend posted something. He's in the Marines, or he's a former Marine, but of course, once Marine, always Marine. And I was in the Navy. Those of you who did not know, and I was stationed in Spain during the 9/11 attacks, and so when we invaded Iraq, we saw the first influx of all of the soldiers coming back from the first raid in Iraq, Operation Enduring Freedom. And it was, even though I wasn't directly on the front line, we had what was called Fleet Hospital 8 there, and it was me being a hospital corpsman. Our hospital hosted the Fleet Hospital on base, and it literally looked like MASH, like tents, and it was a full-blown hospital there. And I was the medevac coordinator for our hospital, and so I would work with the medevac people at the Fleet Hospital to bring in wounded soldiers from Iraq. And we had the airborne rangers there, and they were some pretty banged up guys, and it was just and I okay, I'll choose for you, Christy. Anyway, and I'm mentioning this. I'm mentioning all this because when I was about 14, I think we invaded Iraq for the first time, and I remember at that time like really buying into the whole propaganda of just being like, yeah, we're gonna go get this guy because he's bad and we're good and we're gonna fix everything. And then of course my perspective during 9/11 was a little bit different. Hello Shayna, how are you? let me know if you'd like a card as well. And so then, you know, at that time I was like totally in the whole proud to be an American. I'm, you know, serving in the military. I'm very patriotic and I'm just doing my duty. And as time changed over the years, I started to read up a lot about, you know, how we do a lot of what we call propaganda in the news, and so how many things turned out to not be true, and how, you know, there's so much hidden agenda, and now when I think about these you know, the war in Afghanistan and what we were doing there, and when we originally went in to go get Saddam Hussein and you know, essentially kill him and Osama bin Laden, and now we're in Syria for ISIS, and this recent attack, if those of you guys who haven't followed it, from what I understand, we were there, President Trump decided he's going to bomb their chemical weapons headquarters because their leader, Assad, is using chemical weapons on his people. So that sounds like a very noble cause, like let's protect this third party. Me as a peace officer, you know, that is our duty, to protect a third party from harm from another and to stop them. And so on a certain level, I really understand that principle, but there is a grief there, and a lot of this has to do with the energy that's going on right now with Aries, full moon in Aries. Aries is kind of that immature, sort of impatient, like war. What is Aries ruled by? Mars. Mars is war, the god of war, and it's a lot of that, like, just sort of knee-jerk reaction kind of energy. And also Chiron. I mentioned Chiron the last what do you call it, card pull party. So there's a lot of that energy of Chiron, that wounded healer. And those of us who are healers and we're seeing this sort of immature knee-jerk behavior, it's propelling this sense of grief that we're having. And so dragonfly energy that's coming up for me, all of it's coming together. Dragonfly energy is the older, wiser version of you. What is a dragonfly? A dragonfly is a very efficient animal. They're very wise. I'll read about it in the medicine cards here. But one of the things that dragonfly is a great messenger to remind you of all the things that you've been through and to help you see. They have very, like, 360-degree eyes. They can see, like, with amazing clarity. And they really give you this sense of having the wisdom to go through a spiritual transformation or change. There's a lot of change energy going around, and it's not necessarily change that we asked for. Change that is uncomfortable because we've come to a realization of some uncomfortable truths, right? And so dragonfly gives you this sense of the strength to go it alone, the strength and the wisdom to know you can go through something alone. Not everyone has to get it. Not everyone has to understand you. And you are wiser, and you know you don't need anyone else to go it alone. So there's that. And then I wrote down another thing. There's this other aspect of boundaries and people pleasing. And if you've been having a lot of low energy this week or coming up, that's perfectly okay. Be willing to protect your boundaries. Be willing to understand the essence of people pleasing and how when we're doing it, it's not necessarily, yeah, I pulled a dragonfly for you last week, Bridget. Yep. So dragonfly energy is really like kind of a messenger this week. But this dragonfly, I'm going to read it in a second here, just to remind everybody what it's all about. But this sense of boundaries, and it's when we go people pleasing, we're sort of chasing that connection. And in this sense of Chiron, the influence that Chiron has, it's this feeling of disconnect and loneliness. And so those of us with the abandonment wound, we're having a lot of that whole chasing after somebody to repair this abandonment wound. And I will say that if you've healed some of that abandonment wound, you realize I don't have to chase somebody else. If you have, that's part of that change, that Pluto influence that's going on, change that we didn't necessarily ask for. And it may be that we're realizing uncomfortably that we have been giving away our power to other people, and that's the only reason or the only way that that particular relationship is working. And when we decide, I don't want to give my power away anymore, and we take back our power, that relationship goes away. It falls apart because it only worked because it required you to give away your power. So there may be some uncomfortable truths, but in the end, and towards the end, you'll see, like Dragonfly, this power to go it alone. In the end, it is for your greatest good, and you will come out stronger for it, wiser for it, and more powerful for it. So all that coming together. Yeah. So, okay, so far Bridget wants an animal card. Shelly wants an herbal card. Christy, did you want a card? Oh, you said choose one? Okay. All right. I think herbal for some reason I'm also feeling a lot of plant medicine. Flowers are really talking to me. Let me know if anybody else would like a card. Hope or Shayna. And anyone else I didn't catch who might have popped on. So yeah, so let's just take some deep breaths. Understand that there's a lot of suffering in this world, but that at the same time, we're here to process that suffering. And while it's an uncomfortable truth and it's real, it is what is, there are also a lot of many other things that are also true, like kindness and love, and those of us who can offer, like, never underestimate the power of prayer. Pray for all those people who suffered through those airstrikes. Pray for all those people who suffered through the chemical weapons. Pray for all those people who are suffering because of the suffering. We don't like to see that, and it's making them hurt. And pray for yourself. So, Dragonfly energy. Let me pull that up for you. And I'll just reiterate this. Dragonfly breaks illusions. There we go. Letting go of uncomfortable truths. Coming to terms with uncomfortable truths. Dragonfly breaks illusions, brings visions of power. There you go. No need to prove it. Now is the hour. Isn't that perfect, right? Know it, believe it. Great Spirit intercedes, feeding you, blessing you, filling all your needs. That sense of you can go it alone because you're not alone. You're tapped into your eternal truth. Okay, so you'll never be alone. Hi, Bethany. Okay, awesome. I'll get you a card as well. Would you like herbal card or animal card? Let me know. Oh, you said animal card. Perfect. All right. So, and Charlotte, I don't recall if you asked for a card. Yes. Just remind me if you asked for a card. Okay, because a couple, oh, you did. Okay, herbal card for Hope. Perfect. Okay, so let's go into this. Illusion. Dragonfly is all about that uncomfortable truths coming up, letting go of illusion. Dragonfly medicine is of the dream time and the illusionary facade we accept as physical reality. So essentially this week, it's all about breaking through illusion. And sometimes needing to sort of live in illusion in a way in order to work through some uncomfortable truths. Dragonfly's shifting of color, energy, form, and movement explodes into the mind of the observer, bringing vague memories of a time or place where magic reigned. Some legends say that Dragonfly was once dragon and that dragon had scales like dragonfly's wings. Dragon was full of wisdom and flew through the night, bringing light with its fiery breath. The breath of dragon brought forth the art of magic and the illusion of changing form. So there's a lot of change, a lot of uncomfortable change going on. Just stick with it. Sometimes you may have to go within. Sometimes you may have to cut ties with people that in the end, it may feel really uncomfortable to do it, but it's for your greatest good. You'll see that those relationships maybe weren't sustaining you. It may just be temporary. It may be that an old type of relationship had to die. You can have a different relationship with the same kind of person, but the old way that you interacted had to go away. So let's see. Dragonfly is the essence of the winds of change, the messages of wisdom and enlightenment, and the communications from the elemental world. This elemental world is made up of the tiny spirits of plants and of the elements air, earth, fire, and water. In essence, this world is full of nature spirits. If Dragonfly has flown into your cards today, you may have forgotten to water your plants. Or on another level, you may need to give thanks to the food you eat for sustaining your body. On the psychological level, it may be time to break down the illusions you have held that restrict your actions or ideas. So there you go. Dragonfly medicine always beckons you to seek out the parts of your habits which you need to change. Where in your life are you giving away your power? Where in your life do you need to maybe go it alone, go within, make some serious changes that put up boundaries that keep you from people pleasing? Because people pleasing is you not really having honest connection with that other person. You're doing something you don't really feel like doing, or you're only doing it while chasing an illusion of safety. So have you put on too much weight, or have you started to look like a scarecrow? I don't understand that sentence there. Have you tended to the changes you have wanted to make in your life? If you feel the need for change, call on Dragonfly to guide you through the mists of illusion to the pathway of transformation. See how you can apply the art of illusion to your present question or situation. Remember that things are never completely as they seem. Yeah, so like right now you may be feeling like this is really uncomfortable and I don't understand it, and it just, the other little piece I wanted to mention, because Saturn is going retrograde. Saturn is one of those structural, like, you know, father time, black and white, the law of man, the way things are supposed to be. And we may be getting this sense of things haven't worked out the way they were supposed to. And so if you're getting a lot of that disappointment, that grief around your life not working out the way you thought it was, or just really, Saturn can be frustrating at times as well. But in that frustration, in that grief around things not working out the way we thought they were going to, there are some really amazing, insightful lessons for you. So the silver lining, essentially, this week is all about dealing with uncomfortable truths, dealing with some grief coming up that we can't really ignore anymore, and understanding that in the end, it's all for our own good. It's all going to work out. Just trust in the process. And Dragonfly gives us that energy to know we can go it alone, and it's for our own highest good. So let's get started with the medicine. That was wonderful animal medicine. Let's get into plant medicine. What do the herbs want to tell us today? What can they help us with? So, let's open up some sacred space while I shuffle these cards. So let's call in the winds of the east, the springtime of our life, the void, the place from which we all begin and the place to which we will all return. And of course, spirit of eagle, condor, the animal that can, the bird that can fly the highest in the sky and give us the greatest perspective. I'll call you in. We thank you for your wonderful wisdom and gifts. Thank you so much. Now we call in the winds of the south. This is the earth. This is the midday of our lives. This is summertime. This is when we're in full bloom. This is when we're like Brother Snake, humbly, earthly bound. And we thank Brother Snake for showing us how to shed our skin, for showing us to move forward in new ways. Thank you to the winds of the south. Thank you. Now we welcome the winds of the west, place of the setting sun, earth or water element. This is the place where rites of passage are taught, where it's the fall of our life, the harvest of our life. This is where Brother Jaguar teaches us how to be tenacious through the dark night of the soul. We thank you for your direction. And then we welcome in the winds of the north to our spirit of ancestors, air element, spirit of hummingbird, caribou, elk, the endurance of life, knowing that we can make it to the end. That's the end. Winter is the winter time of our lives, the night of our lives. We will not go quietly into that dark night. We'll go with the wisdom of our ancestors. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being here. And to, of course, Mother Earth, Father Sky, the star nations, Grandmother Moon, Grandfather Sun, and as always, Great Spirit, thank you for that wisdom that you bring to us. And let's see what we have for us today. And our Ascended Masters and Archangels. All right, let's pull the card for Monday, Tuesday. This one's going to be for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and lastly, the overall energy, which will hopefully coincide with Dragonfly energy. All right, so for Monday, Tuesday, we seem to be pulling Sarsaparilla quite a bit lately. I don't know what's going on with that, but Knight of Cups, Sarsaparilla energy is root energy. When you drink root beer, it's coming from Sarsaparilla plant. And they have quite an interesting taste when they're not sweetened with lots of sugar. Knight of Cups, water energy. Okay. The Knight of Cups is the active, airy aspect of the water element within each of us. He is on a tireless search for identity and relationship to another. So maybe that sense of, is this relationship working out for me? That's going to come up for you. How coincidental, right? His winged hat suggests the spirit of a self-styled crusader or messenger of the gods. Now, I feel inclined to mention this is not just for romantic relationships. This is friendships. This is how you relate to family, how you relate to just people in general. Maybe you've decided that the way you're connecting to the world isn't just, maybe you need to be more open. Maybe you need to be more cautious. Maybe you need to be a little more particular about where you put your energy. So, Knight of Cups has a dream, and he is actively in pursuit of it. He's unafraid to express his feelings, tastes, and visions to others. That includes not people-pleasing. Be honest in your connections to others. If you don't want to do something, say no. If you don't feel like it and you end up going, and then you create this resentment within you, you're not being honest with yourself or the other person. So maybe you can choose to connect more honestly with people. Learn to tell them, nope, no thank you, I can't make it. Don't answer the phone, and understand that maybe they will call back again. You'll be okay. On the positive side, he can represent a stage leading to deeper personal commitments. But on the negative side, he may lose, if only temporarily, a sense of personal identity through getting caught up in the turbulence of immature relationships. He must guard against moodiness and jealousy. So sarsaparilla symbolizes purification of the emotions and the associated ability to express clearly our most intimate thoughts and feelings with others. Don't be afraid to actually think what you think and feel. When you do say what you really think and feel, make sure you do it from a place of not to be cutting or to hurt the other person, but to be truthful. Soften your truth with a little bit of love. So this herb has an unsubstantiated reputation of increasing sexual potency. It is not always easy to determine, however, why a plant affects people in certain ways. Sarsaparilla is primarily used as a blood and liver purifier. Other specific uses for it include the treatment of rashes such as eczema, psoriasis, and acne. Skin blemishes, skin rashes. These are all signs of some sort of negative emotion coming out to the surface. They're coming out one way or another. So it's telling you, be honest with your feelings, your emotions. Let it come out, because it's going to come out one way or another, and it may be in a way that's not healthy for you. So you kind of owe it to yourself to be honest with how you're connecting to the world. I create opportunities to share my thoughts and feelings with others. So really that need to have honest connection. And it may not always be nice, but nice isn't always the kindest thing. And what I mean by that is if you're trying to take care of somebody else's feelings but hurting yourself in the process, be mindful of your truth, and then let your truth, when you speak it, be spoken with love so that you can say it in a way that's not deliberately hurtful. But when you're speaking your own truth, and it hurts somebody else, you can't control how they receive that. So as long as you know what your intentions are, that's the best. That's the way to be truthful and also maintain a kindness. There's a difference between kindness and niceness, okay? So just understand that subtle difference, okay? All right, let's move on to Wednesday, Thursday. King of Pentacles, alfalfa. All right, we haven't seen alfalfa in a couple weeks. Those of you who know, alfalfa sprouts are really, really good for you. I personally don't eat them too much, but because they go bad very quickly. But they're an excellent source of nutrients. And Pentacles, earth energy. The King of Pentacles is seated on a throne of rock and is looking directly at the viewer. His robe of red indicates his ability to confront and deal directly with the needs and requirements of living on the earth. Patience, willpower, and understanding of how the world works are his talents. I think this is having a knowingness, opening up your eyes to how things are really working right now. Not what you want them to be, but what is, okay? And sometimes there's that uncomfortable truth. You have to be willing to see things that you're not willing to see in order to make lasting changes. So he knows the body is a temple for spirit and sees this material world as a stage for spiritual growth. He works to achieve stability in finances, health, emotions, and in his home. He's goal-oriented and reaches for the heights of success. The king must watch that he doesn't get so fixed on his goals, achievements, and rewards that he forgets the spirit behind material manifestations and thus becomes stubborn, selfish, resistant to change, and overly focused on material security. There's another thing too. You may have an idea of how you think things are supposed to be. And that's, again, that Saturn energy. King Chrono, you know, he has this idea, well, that's not the way it's supposed to be. And if things are going the way that you feel are not the way they're supposed to go, just bear that in mind. Just don't get too hard-headed about things. Just let it flow and understand the more you come to terms with what is, the more you can work truthfully with that energy. So that's what's going to happen this, this week, midweek. Some uncomfortable truths. Don't get too rigid about it. Just, well, that wasn't the way I thought it was going to go, but it is what it is. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Interesting. I haven't pulled this card, I don't think, in any of our card pull parties before. Let me see. It's the Ten of Swords. And it looks a little bit messy. There's 10 bloody swords here, okay? And the herb is ephedra. Those of you who have ever heard of, a lot of diet pills with ephedrine in them, it's a stimulant, okay? So the ice and snow are pierced by 10 swords dripping with blood. From too much thinking, worrying, a feeling of paralysis and emptiness has arisen. So there's going to be that sense of things didn't work out the way I thought they were going to. I'm really alone. I'm really disconnected. Just understand when you're in this uncomfortable space, there's Dragonfly. You have the energy, the strength, the power to go it alone. You can make it through. Don't overthink it. Just know it's kind of like, this may be a bad analogy, but whenever I watched that Finding Nemo movie, and when they go through, what's it called, that big rip current, if you don't go with the flow, you're gonna drown on the rip current. But those the sea turtles, when they were going with the flow, they didn't have this sensation of, well, that's not the way the ocean's supposed to go. They were just like, yeah, woohoo, rip current, and they love it. And when you're going with the flow and you allow yourself to be taken by the energy and surf with it instead of against it, there's just total difference in how things feel to you. So this is telling you, if you are going to be stubborn, if you're going to be rigid, if you're going to be like, well, this isn't how life works, and this isn't how it's supposed to be, and it's a really crappy world right now, and people are terrible to each other, and you're going to end up feeling like this, okay? where it's time for you to pay attention to your thoughts and feelings. And essentially, one is not sure how to respond to an aspect of life. These thoughts and feelings can create the very thing that is most resisted. So, you know, when you're feeling like, oh my God, like I have no friends, I'm really disconnected, I'm lonely, blah, 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 it's that confirmation bias. You'll be looking around and you'll find and see everything that you don't want to see, okay? Or you'll create the thing, or you'll feel like you created the thing that you didn't want, because thoughts become things, right? Even when things look bleak and there's sadness, darkness, and depression, it is time to embrace faith and trust, and to know that this is the end of an old cycle and a new cycle will soon begin. So again, dragonfly energy, just remember, you have the power to go it alone. Even when things are uncomfortable, this too will pass, okay? Don't get stuck in it. Don't be stubborn, don't be rigid. It's time to embrace and trust, and to know that this is the end of an old cycle and the new will soon begin. It's time to accept things as they are. In other words, it is what it is. I keep saying that. Through this acceptance, the light at the end of the tunnel will be seen. Using visualization, create new horizons for yourself. See yourself rising up and walk a new path with sure steps and a peaceful heart. If there's a lot of criticism, misunderstandings, and disappointments, try to remain as focused as possible and see what opportunities are opening for you. Patience is a must. So something else came up for me. You know, I was feeling a lot of this disconnect, loneliness from Chiron, the wounded healer. And just remember, when you're letting go of that which is not serving you, and you're grieving, you're releasing, and it feels like a loss, then you are making room, you're holding space for new connections. So just remember that. So if something's happening this week, you didn't like it, it's an uncomfortable truth, didn't feel good, if you feel disconnected, whatever, don't get caught up in it. Just remember, this too will pass, that just like there's a cycle. And another thought came up to me, you know, like, this is like my period week, okay? Whenever I get my period and I'm feeling really like hormonal and just like I want to crawl under a rock and don't bother me, I'm going to do a marathon on Netflix. I learned that I'm going to be, I know I will be feeling better in a week or two. It's just not to get too uncomfortable with the down cycle. So this is just part of life. Down cycles are part of life. You know, you can't stay high forever. It's just part of life, okay? So just keep that in mind. Ephedra is an herbal essence and can be safely employed to help increase the body's ability to take in the breath, thus allowing one to take in greater life force. You can do breath work. When you're feeling like this stuck energy, many of these exercises we're talking about here, using the elements like breath work, blowing negative energy into a rock, moving that energy out of you. Native Americans use the feather when they're smudging. That helps move the energy. The smudging is purifying. And I remember saying, what's the purpose of the feather? Blowing air over you, and it's moving energy, just like brushing. When you can, very simple exercise, like when you're feeling really tense, you're feeling whatever that uncomfortable truth is overwhelming you, you can move some of that energy out of you. Some of the best, simplest processes, even if it's the placebo effect, is like brushing your energy, just moving over yourself. Literally, just your hand moving across the surface of your body, going behind you, and that just helps just release a little bit of pressure within. Okay, so just as the wind clears the air and sweeps away the old, Ephedra's cleansing and clearing breath will also help to clear the mind and make way for fresh thoughts. So that's what's necessary. Don't get stuck. Clear that air out. Clear that negative energy, that stuck, stale energy, that one little thought you keep hammering yourself with, that's making you feel like life just sucks, and let it go. Let it go. Help do some active cleansing exercises this weekend. And as an herbal essence, a few drops of ephedra can be taken 3 times a day. Medicinally, ephedra may be taken in small doses, 1 or 2 capsules a day, or in combination with other herbs. That helps you relieve congestion in the lungs. It's essentially death of an old cycle. So you can meditate on the essence of ephedra if you're letting go of an old relationship or an old way of being within a relationship, and tell yourself, I inhale and feel the cleansing energy filling me. I exhale and release the old. So let's talk about the energy for the overall week, the Tower. Okay, so here's a major arcana card. The rest were all minor arcana, and so this is more about like, how do you see overall patterns in your life? So what is the Tower? And garlic is an amazing natural food, antiseptic. Let's look up the Tower. I can tell you right now, it's going to be something related to boosting yourself and The Tower, ruled by Mars, which of course we're in right now, the full moon and Aries, represents the inner thoughts and words which we have created to build up a tower of defenses and outmoded ideas. The ego and desires may be the masters rather than the servants of the inner self. So again, don't get caught up in your ego. Don't get caught up in what is. Don't get caught up in what you thought things should be or were supposed to have worked out. Like, that's where a lot of our grief comes from. You know, like, well, I thought I was going to be with this person forever, or I thought they were supposed to be, you know, loyal to me, or I thought that family was supposed to be kind to each other. Well, maybe that's not what's really going on. And when we come to terms with what is, then we are more at peace and in a neutral place to take empowered action. Okay? So the ego and desires may be the masters rather than the servants of the inner self. In our fortified tower, we have separated ourselves from life and others. There's that disconnect, right? So sometimes a lot of our emotions are the things that are keeping us disconnected. Whereas if we pay attention to it and, you know, we realize this is a pattern of ours and we maybe could come at it in a different way, we're giving away our power, okay? So your own attitude that's fortified you against others, maybe that's the source of your disconnect. Maybe the reason why you're feeling really disconnected is you on a regular basis are not connecting with others as much as you thought you were, or the way in which you're connecting with them isn't as deeply satisfying as you want them to be. Okay, now the lightning bolt of inner awakening has hit us and we come tumbling down from our self-created edifice. So this is where we say, you know, if I want to have lots of friends, maybe I need to be a friend. Maybe the reason why nobody's calling or asking how I'm doing is because I'm not calling and asking how they're doing. So, no, it's not too late, Shanna. I'll get you a card. I know you just popped on. You popped on, popped off. So it's no big deal. This is a humbling experience, to say the least, when you realize maybe I'm the source of my problems. If I feel like no one loves me and no one's coming around, what am I doing that's causing this? So we are no longer functioning from unconscious egotism or race thought. The Mars energy breaks us out of the inertia of the past. It creates an opening for a new cycle. We can no longer rationalize our old position. We are the dethroned kings and queens who must take a new perspective on ourselves and our relationships. The lightning bolt of inner awakening gets rid of the obstacles. So garlic, on a spiritual level, ruled by Mars, will cut through most blockages and obstacles we have set up within us. As we go through a tower experience, we may find that people turn their backs on us. There we go with that. It's okay to go it alone, okay? And it's okay to let go of relationships if the only way they work or if we are giving away our power. So those are, I don't need those, do you? So we may find that people turn their backs on us or that we are social outcasts. And if you're okay with that, you know, the dragonfly energy gives you the power to be okay with that. Just as garlic with its strong odor can be socially unacceptable. But garlic is truly fortifying. Really, it's like the best antiseptic ever. Antiviral. If you have a cold, eat a raw garlic. If you have candida, anyway, whole systemic yeast infection, garlic is insanely effective for this. In this alone and humbled state, true meditation and clear thinking can begin. Be willing to take a look at how to approach a situation in a new and fresh way. So really, some kind of crazy, difficult, dark night of the soul energy. You can maybe call on Jaguar energy, Winds of the West. That's where this dark night of the soul essence is. Ask for Winds of the West. Please help me through this. This is a hard week for us. And if it's not, awesome. But if you're going through some stuff, if you're living in La La Land and you don't want to come to terms with it, it'll feel a lot harder for you. So, okay, now let's get started. Shana, did you want an animal card or did you want an herbal card? Let me know. So far, this is who I have. Bridget, Shelly, Christy, Bethany, Hope, and then Shana. All right. I'll put these cards over here. And let's see. Bridget, you asked for an animal card. So here we go. Thank you, Spirit, for... Let's pull all the animal cards at once. So I'm going to pull one for you and one for Bethany, okay? Thank you, Spirit, for guiding us, for Bridget and for Bethany. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And Shana would like an animal card as well, so also for Shana. Bridget, Bethany, and Shana. Okay, so first is Bridget, the dog. We talked about dog energy last week. Dog energy ultimately is loyalty, right? So, and in all of these cards, let's consider them in relation to the energy of the week that we talked about. Dog, you're so noble until the bitter end. Your medicine is teaching of true and loyal friends, okay? Sometimes when you find out who your friends are not, it gives you a whole new appreciation for who your friends are and what rare qualities they have, okay? So keep that in mind, loyalty. Loyalty can be very rare, okay? All of the Southwest and Plains Indians tribes had dogs. These noble animals would often give warning signals of approaching danger. They helped in the hunt and were a great source of warmth on long winter nights. Since the canine tribe has many breeds, early Indian dogs were usually half wild. This wildness, however, never divested the owners of their dogs' innate loyalty. Dog has been considered the servant of humanity throughout history. If a person carries dog medicine, he or she is usually serving others or humanity in some way. If you're really heavy into staying loyal, we used to have this saying when we talked about when I worked in the jail and for the sheriff's office. It would say, do you have dog loyalty or cat loyalty? Dog loyalty is to the master, the sheriff, the person himself. The cat loyalty is to the office of the sheriff. So cat loyalty is like, I don't care about the person, I care about the house itself. And so the dog loyalty is all about personal connection to that one person. You would do anything for that person and in those relationships. So think about those relationships in your life this week. If you're being loyal to somebody who requires you to give away your power, is this going to be good for you? And it may be really hard to let go of that loyalty because you may have said, this is who I am. I am so-and-so's sister. I am so-and-so's best friend. I am so-and-so's husband or wife or whatever. You know, I am their mother. You know, your own identity is wrapped up in that relationship with them. So just that can be hard to let go of if in examining your loyalty to them, if it's working for you or not. Dog was the servant soldier that guarded the tribe's lodges from surprise attack. Dog is a medicine that embodies the loving gentleness of best friend and the half-wild protector energy of territorial imperative. Like Anubis, the jackal dog protector of Egypt, dog is a guardian. There's also, like I was mentioning in our training, I think I mentioned this a few times, you know, the peace officers, the guardians, they're considered sheepdog. They guard the sheep from the wolf. You know, they guard innocent people from the criminals, from the bad guys, basically. That's the idea. And so that's the essence of dog. Throughout history, dog has been the guardian of hell, as well as of ancient secrets, hidden treasures, and babies. So let's look at this in this world this week right now. There's a lot of suffering, some bad guys out there doing some really terrible things, and dog loyalty is also maybe a way of saying stay loyal to your values. Stay loyal to your value of taking care of others, okay? Maybe lifting people up, maybe really truly believing that there is good in this world, okay? So take heart. Dog honors its gifts and is loyal to the trust placed in its care. So in examining dog medicine, you might find that you have fond personal memories of owning and loving dog as a pet. The message the dog is trying to give you is that you must delve deeply into your sense of service to others. Canines are genuinely service-oriented animals and are devoted to their owners with a sense of loyalty that supersedes how they are treated. So again, there's this essence of, am I being loyal to somebody that's not treating me so well? And ask yourself, are you able to overlook that? Because maybe this is a part of you that you're just like, I can see the big picture. And if dog has been yelled at or paddled, it still returns love to the person who was the source of its bad treatment. In essence, you can still love that person in their place, but not necessarily, you can love them from afar. It doesn't come from a place of stupidity, but rather from a deep and compassionate understanding of human shortcomings. So maybe love humanity, and it is what it is. We're all flawed. And it is as if a tolerant spirit dwells in the heart of every canine that asks only to be of service. You can also see dogs that have had the loyalty beaten out of them. They cower and cry at the slightest look of disapproval, but this is not their normal nature. Some varieties of dogs have been trained against their natures to be brutal and vicious. Out of a sense of service, these breeds have adopted the attack-oriented desires of their owners. They carry an altered genetic memory of what service means if they are to be approved of by their masters. So dog medicine asks you to look at how readily your sense of loyalty is countermanded by your need for approval. Okay, totally in essence this week, look at the relationships in which you're serving other people in a people-pleasing way, okay? And are you being honest with yourself about it? So there are several questions you need to consider depending on the situation about what you're asking. Have you recently forgotten that, or have I recently forgotten that I owe my allegiance to my personal truth in my life? And is it possible that gossip or the opinions of others have jaded my loyalty to a certain friend or group? Have I denied or ignored someone who's trying to be my loyal friend? Have I been loyal and true to my goals? So dog is pretty important here, especially when it comes to people pleasing and being honest with others, connecting in an honest way. So that was for Bridget. And then the next one is going to be for Bethany, the Lizard. Lizard's actually a really good card. Let's see what Lizard has in store for us. And I love the thing about these medicine cards. I'm going to take a sip of water here. You're welcome, Bridget. When we think of like lizard, those of us who are not into reptiles might be like, oh, that's a terrible card. But there are certain, like the turkey vulture that I mentioned last week, by nature, they're carrion birds, okay? So they just eat what's left over. And that gives them like a negative connotation, almost kind of sinister, or like, we'll just wait for you to die and then we'll eat you up. But they actually also have a very nurturing quality about them. As soon as they find something, they'll go call all their friends. Hey, come on over and eat it. So there's the medicine cards look at the essence of that animal. And, you know, it's, even though they may have like a human fear of it or something, it doesn't necessarily have a negative connotation in the animal world. Okay, so let me look up lizard here. 181. Lizard, will you dream with me? Travel across the stars, beyond the place of time and space. There live visions from afar. So lizard is all about dreaming, okay? Lizard sat lolling in the shadow of a big rock, shading himself from the desert sun. Snake crawled by, looking for some shadow to coil up in and rest. Snake watched Lizard for a while as Lizard's eyeballs went side to side behind his enormous closed lids. Snake hissed to get Lizard's attention. Slowly, Lizard's dreaming eyes opened and he saw Snake. Snake, you scared me. What do you want? Lizard cried. Snake spit his answer from his forked tongue. Lizard, you're always getting the best shadow spots in the heat of the day. This is the only big rock for miles. Why don't you share your shade with me? Lizard thought for a moment and then agreed. Snake, you can share my shade spot, but you have to go to the other side of the rock and you must promise not to interrupt me. Snake was getting annoyed. He hissed, how could I bother you, Lizard? All you're doing is sleeping. Lizard smiled knowingly. Oh, Snake, you are such a silly serpent. I'm not sleeping, I'm dreaming. So Snake wanted to know what the difference was. Lizard explained, dreaming is going into the future, Snake. I go to where future lives. You see, that is why I know you won't eat me today. I dreamed you and I know you're full of mouse. Snake was taken aback. Why, Lizard, you're exactly right. I wondered why you said you would share your rock. Lizard laughed to himself. Snake, he said, you're looking for shade and I'm looking for shadow. Shadow is where the dreams live. Lizard medicine is a shadow side of reality where your dreams are reviewed before you decide to manifest them physically. Lizard could have created getting eaten by Snake if he had so desired. Lizard is the medicine of dreamers. Whether dreamers smoke you or dream you, dreamers can always help you see the shadow. This shadow can be your fears, your hopes, or the very thing you're resisting, but is always following you around like an obedient dog. And I will say that the shadow is the thing that causes self-sabotage. And self-sabotage is the thing that is your secret hidden desire. You're doing something, for example, like maybe you're always late. Maybe you're craving more relaxation. You're craving more time to enjoy yourself along the way. See, that's what Lizard is all about. Helping you to decipher in maybe some of the really heavy feelings this week where you're feeling disconnected, if you're feeling lonely, go into that dreaming space. What is it that I'm really hoping? Instead of feeling sad about it or feeling angry or like I'm not getting what I was supposed to be getting, Lizard energy is going to be able to really tell you, well, what do you really want? And in the end, it's going to help you figure out how to get it. So if Lizard dreamed a space in your cards today, it may be time to look and see what is following along behind you. Is it your fears, your future trying to catch up to you? Or is it the part of you that wants to ignore your weaknesses and humanness? Lizard may be telling you to pay attention to your dreams and their symbols. Make a dream log and record all that you remember. So if you don't really want to examine like some uncomfortable truths, Lizard's saying it's okay to do this. In fact, it's probably the time to do this. Be sure to pay attention to each individual symbol or recurring pattern. This week, I got woken up at like 4:45 in the morning, and I just had the number 809 in my head. I had no idea what the hell it meant. I still don't know what it means. I looked it up in angel numbers, but like stuff like that. Lizard's telling you, pay attention because it's going to come out in some way. If you do not remember your dreams, you could try setting a music alarm for 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. Or you could try drinking a lot of water before bedtime and allow your bladder to wake you up. Dreams are very important. Pay attention to them. Even go so far as to just say, when I go to sleep tonight, can you help me remember my dreams? And I've been able to do that. Like if I tell myself, please make sure I wake up by 5 a.m. There's times when I do that and I wake my own self up at 4:59. So Lizard's telling you, pay attention to your shadow. Pay attention to those uncomfortable truths that you don't want to listen to. It's okay. It's the time for it. And you'll get through it. So that was Bethany's card. Wonderful lizard energy. And then now this is for Shanna. The horse, one of my favorite animals. I used to think that being a Sagittarius, that horse was one of my totem animals. And it probably is. I think that I have several. If you're a workhorse, if you're a war horse, think of all the ways that horse, a wild horse, mighty horse, power to run and across the open plains, or to bring the vision of the field of the shields, dancing in purple dream rain. So horse is all about power. And we talked about this week, it's all about where are we giving away our power? Are we giving away our power in relationships? In exchange, you know, we're hoping to connect. We're sacrificing our power, chasing a connection that's maybe not needed or ultimately doesn't serve us. Stealing horses is stealing power was a statement made frequently in historical Native America and a reference to the esteemed role which horse played in the Native cultures. You could also get hung for stealing a horse in the Wild West. So horse is physical power and unearthly power. In shamanic practices throughout the world, horse enables shamans to fly through the air and reach heaven. Think of Pegasus, right? Humanity made a great leap forward when horse was domesticated, a discovery akin to that of fire. Before horse, humans were earthbound, heavy-laden, and slow creatures indeed. Once humans climbed on horse's back, they were as free and fleet as the wind. They were our original cars. That's how we got around. So they could carry burdens for great distances with ease. Through their special relationship with horse, humans altered their self-concept beyond measure. So there's also idea of self and identity this week, and how horse is probably asking you, what kind of relationships where could I be if I was making a more deeply honest connection with other people? And if I'm making more aligned connections, is that going to help me get further in life, in the sense of, will it enhance my power and help me to be able to do more? So horse was the first animal medicine of civilization. Humanity owes an incalculable debt to horse and to the new medicine it brought. It would be a long walk to see one's brother or sister if horse had not welcomed the two-legged rider upon its back. Today we measure the capacity of engines with the term horsepower, a reminder of the days when horse was an honored and high-prized partner with humanity. Dreamwalker, a medicine man, was walking across the plains to visit the Arapaho Nation. He carried with him his pipe, the feather tied into his long black hair pointed to the ground, marking him as a man of peace. Over the rise of the hill, Dreamwalker saw a herd of wild mustangs running toward him. Black Stallion approached him and asked if he was seeking an answer to his journey. Black Stallion said, "I am from the void where Answer lives." Remember Energy of the East, the great void? And that's where you get your answers from. Ride on my back and know the power of entering the darkness and finding the light. Dreamwalker thanked Black Stallion and agreed to visit him when his medicine was needed in the dream time. Yellow Stallion approached Dreamwalker next and offered to take him to the east where Illumination lives. Dreamwalker could share the answers he found there to teach and illuminate others. Once again, Dreamwalker thanked Yellow Stallion and said he would use these gifts of power on his journey. So really, when you're wondering, what new connections can I make? And if I'm really in my power, how can my life change? What can I do more with my life when I'm in my power? Ask the Winds of the East to help you with this bringing in these new connections for you. Make space for these new connections. Being disconnected right now, holding space for that, that's going to allow new, more powerful connections to come into your life, okay? Red Stallion approached, rearing playfully. He told Dreamwalker of the joys of balancing work and heavy medicine with the joyful experiences of play. I remember distinctly making a very clear prayer that said, you know what, Lord, please bring me people who can show me living a certain way that I've never seen before. You know, maybe they know how to enjoy themselves. Maybe they know how to relax more and, you know, just enjoy the good life. It's those sort of things. Call on the winds of the east for those sort of things. And Dreamwalker mounted White Stallion's back. Oops, I'm sorry, I got a little behind. Red Stallion approached rearfully. He told Dreamwalker of the joys of balancing work and heavy medicine with the joyful experiences of play. He reminded Dreamwalker that he could better hold the attention of those he taught when humor was integrated with the lesson. Dreamwalker thanked him and promised to remember the gift of joy. Dreamwalker was nearing his destination. The Arapaho Nation was close at hand. White Stallion came to the front of the herd. Dreamwalker mounted White Stallion's back. White Stallion was the message carrier for all the other horses and represented wisdom and power. This magnificent horse was the embodiment of the balanced medicine shield. No abuse of power will ever lead to wisdom, said White Stallion. You, Dreamwalker, have made this journey to heal a brother in need, to share the sacred pipe, and to heal the Mother Earth. You have the knowledge through humility that you are an instrument of great spirit. So, really, your connections, your strength, because you are in integrity and you're using your power and your connections for good, you know, essentially your life will expand if you stay in this type of energy. Okay, as I carry you upon my back, you carry the needs of the people on yours. In wisdom, you understand that power is not given lightly, but awarded to those who are willing to carry responsibility in a balanced manner. So that's another reason why I think of horse energy as a spirit totem animal for me, because I've had to deal with a lot of responsibility. At a young age, I was able to do, you know, work and make lots of money. I was like 11, from the age of 11. I'm wondering if this is you. Does this speak to you? Did you always feel like you could carry more responsibility than other people? Or if not, is this an issue for you right now? It's coming up. Dreamwalker the shaman had been healed by the visit of the wild horses and knew that his purpose in coming to the Arapaho was to share these gifts with them. In understanding the power of horse, you may see how to strive for a balanced medicine shield. True wisdom, true power is wisdom found in remembering your total journey. Again, dragonfly energy along with horse energy. What are all of your experiences coming together to teach you in a wise way? Wisdom comes from remembering pathways you have walked in another person's moccasins. Compassion, caring, teaching, loving, and sharing your talents, gifts, and abilities are the gateways to power. So you've probably been around a bit. You've seen a lot. And horse energy saying, you have this responsibility now. When you know more, when you know better, you do better, and you know how to apply everything you've learned in a way that's full of integrity and helpful to others. So that's the animal cards. And next, let's do the herbal cards. Thank you, Stuart. We're going to pull cards for Shelley, Christy, and Hope. I see your little lizard, Bethany. You're welcome. Okay. That's for Shelley, Christy, and Hope. All right. So don't be alarmed. This week is some heavy energy. I'm going to show you why I said don't be alarmed. Death. We talked about how everything is about a down cycle, right? Don't fear the down cycle. It may feel disconnection. It may feel letting go. You may feel some grief, whatever, but it's really important to get to that place of space, of You're welcome, Shanna. Really just making space for the new. And death is really important. Like if we're never able to let go fully, we sort of fester with the pieces of us that we can't let go, and it just becomes like an old wound that just, you know, literally like a scab that keeps growing over it. And death is important. Death is all about renewal. And if I remember correctly, it talks about how death really, in essence, is about birth. So elderflowers. And of course, this is the major arcana card. This is like big energy for you. This is life, you know, this week, this energy, something about this year, this section in time is really important for you. Death ruled by Scorpio, and mind you, Scorpio, I'm going to do a special meditation in the full moon in Scorpio, because it's coming up on the 29th, but my meditation will be the 28th. It's a Saturday. Scorpio energy is all about like unpleasant water energy, okay? Emotions, unpleasant emotions that we can't seem to let go of. So death ruled by Scorpio is a symbol of rebirth, transformation, change, and initiation. This is a perfect time to let go of some really deep-seated old crap that's been bothering you for a long time. The sun in the background is rising. A new day is being born. This week is maybe an uncomfortable, like things are coming to a head. It's time for you to deal with some stuff you haven't been dealing with. But at the end, you're going to feel so much lighter, so much more peace. It's a whole new way of being, basically. The blooming red roses symbolize the rejuvenation that we will experience by shedding our old skin. Let's ask for our brother Snake for his assistance in this. Who better than the snake to show you how to molt and be humble, be on the ground, you know, close to the earth. Thank you to the Great Mother for grounding us during this humbling experience of letting go of our old, worn-out ways for the rebirth self. Death of the old is necessary for the new to emerge. The old is like the compost heap full of rich experiences from which new forms emerge. If we resist changes, we may experience pain emotionally and physically. That's that not wanting to deal with what is. So don't resist it. But if we exercise our creative imagination and visualize a new, more peaceful, at ease self, a self that is in a better position than before, then we can move more easily through the unknown fathoms of death and let it take us from the constrictive patterns of the past to emerge like the phoenix soaring upward. Death is getting down to the bare bones, that total empty space, right? It asks us to look at our true inner yearnings for emotional and spiritual peace. It asks us to be reborn through our union with the greater power. The elderberry bush has for thousands of years been venerated by people of many parts of the world for its magical and medicinal purposes. In lore and legend, it is an emblem of sorrow and death because of old traditions held the idea that the cross of Calvary was made of a giant elder tree. From that time, the story goes, the elder was never able to grow into a tree but forever remained a bush. In Europe, the elder was trimmed into the shape of a cross and planted on new graves. If it blossomed, the soul of the deceased person was believed to be happy. In pre-Christian Northern Europe, the elder was intimately connected to magic, and it is said that the magic wands were fashioned from the elder branches. The herb helps to allow the death of the old to be transmuted into the new rebirth self. It acts as a guardian spirit during the metamorphosis and brings ease as the transition occurs. So keep that in mind as you move forward. Elderflowers are used for clearing congestion and putrefaction during the onset of a cold and flu. Make a strong tea or just meditate with the essence of it. And then it will help you sweat things out. and you know, sometimes we need to go through this process of sweating it out. Like, you know, mulling it over, thinking it through. Don't get stuck in it. Don't stay there. Just keep going, okay? Just remember, it's part of the down cycle, but part of the down cycle will include an up cycle. There will be rebirth. There will be shedding of old, the end of old relationships, elimination of outworn habits and things. Lots of that going on this week. So that you got a double win. Just, it's a comfort to you that, like, when you're going through all of this change on uncomfortable truths, that it's part of making way for the new. So affirmation is, as the serpent sheds its skin, I renew myself within. Okay. And that's for Shelly. And now, Christy, if you're still on, St. John's wort, King of Swords. St. John's wort, most of us know, it helps with serotonin. It's like kind of a natural Prozac. I find it far more effective than Prozac ever was. I take it every day. Therapeutic amounts of St. John's wort is actually far more than the 300 milligrams that they come in, the little capsules. So I think it's as much as 1,200 milligrams a day. I take anywhere from 600 to 900 milligrams a day. So great stuff. Although to me it has a strong smell to it. King of Swords, kind of medicinal. King of Swords. King of Swords. Here we go. The King of Swords sits on a rock, representing his capacity to be grounded and established in his thoughts. The sword in his left hand and his blue garment denote his innate ability to be clear in his thinking and open to innovative thoughts. There's this other thought came to me too, that if you're fearful of, like, dealing with your shadow side, if you're fearful of going, you know, some of us who have had depression, we worry like, oh my God, it's really hard to get out of it, so I'm afraid to go through it. Don't fear it. St. John's wort is like kind of like that support. You don't go outside in the middle of winter without a coat on. So it's reminding you to support yourself in this process as you address, you know, some uncomfortable truths. The sword in his left hand and his blue garment denote his innate ability to be clear in his thinking and open to innovative thoughts. The yellow garment shows his willingness to be creative and expressive with his words, whether they be written or spoken. You might find that you're sort of making lemonade with lemons this week by some creative artwork. Maybe you're writing to heal, you're painting to heal, and out of it's coming some of your best work, okay? He is a natural diplomat and philosopher who can use his communication talents in ways that can be truly inspiring to others. So something you're going to have, something within you that needs to be expressed is going to be really helpful to other people, right? You know, so keep that in mind. Through his keen ability to be analytical, he's able to cut away truth from untruth. And that includes your own, right? So remember, just it's a good time to be honest with yourself, be honest with other people. He must watch, however, that his sword is not used to be critical and harsh to himself or to those associated with him. Remember, you can be truthful but kind, not to be confused with nice. So he must be tolerant of other people's ways and not grow impatient with their slower thinking. Arrogance does not become the King of Swords. He must learn to use his clarity of mind to support his creativity and to be supportive to others with whom he is associated. So a good way to be in your power is to speak your truth and let other people be where they're at without having to change them. You can say, this isn't working out for me, and they can get as mad as they want, but you get to be totally in your power here. Knowing that maybe they're being impatient or yelling or whatever, because inside you recognize, maybe they don't recognize, they're just feeling out of control and they don't like the way they feel, and they're not being mean or hurtful on purpose to you. You see that tolerance towards others in their reactions. When you set boundaries and other people are intolerant of it, love them in the space they're in, okay? Don't be like, well, that was immature, or, well, that was really ugly, I don't need to talk to you anymore. let them be where they're at. Just recognize that they're just reacting to changes in their own life, and they haven't quite become as awake as you. So this herb can impart a capacity to calm the emotions of fear, depression, and frustration in order to allow our ability for free visionary thoughts to come through. It will alleviate tension and unrest, and we may experience when we need to express our ideas and beliefs. For those who are stuck in arrogance about their righteousness, this herb will unstick the energy and allow a better flow to occur. It says it's a sedative herb, but for me, I find that that's just, if you're in a state of anxiety, it calms it. It doesn't make me sleepy. It strengthens and renews the nerves and raises the spirits. So as an herbal essence, the flowers and leaves may be used. Personally, I think capsules are the best way to take it. I'm not going to try to boil it. It's not as easily regulated when you're eating the leaves. Plus, like I said, they have like a real crazy smell. I acknowledge my ability to see clearly and to communicate my beliefs and ideas. So that's for you, Christy. And last but not least, we have hope. It's always good to end with hope. Lady Slipper, Queen of Swords. That's what we have here. Let me look up Queen of Swords. Queen of Swords. Quite a bit of sword energy here. A lot of air. A lot of overthinking this week. Just remember that when you're working with we have the King of Swords, and now we got the Queen of Swords. So you're welcome, Christy. Thanks for being here. And if you just popped on, say hi. All right. Water of air. Interesting. The Queen of Swords has cut through the chains of limited thinking and ideas. She stands on her own. So maybe for you, like this week's been a long time coming. You know you've been sort of not wanting to deal with some uncomfortable truths, but you're coming to terms with it, and now you just cut through the nonsense, and you're like, yep, I'm dealing with it. I understand, and I get it, and now it's just time to move forward. She stands on her own, ready to look ahead with clear vision. Her purple garment shows her openness to receiving inspirations, and her red sash indicates her willingness to manifest them. The sword in her left hand shows her unwavering intent to cut through untruth and confusion. She stands with bare feet firmly planted on the earth, exhibiting her willingness to manifest her ideas in this reality and to remain balanced. So, because of her clarity and insightfulness, she's able to help others to see themselves in a more objective and balanced way. Maybe your job this week is to help other people through this really uncomfortable week. You maybe perhaps gone through it, and you are, I want to say, a little more comfortable with the process, and so you may be more understanding, and you can help other people through their discomfort. Her high-sightedness must not be used to be critical, vengeful, and unyielding. These ways will eventually wear on her nervous system and create tremendous imbalances to body, mind, spirit. For some reason, I don't think that's going to be a problem. This beautiful herb creates within us a deeper connection to the earth. Really can rely on all the ways that you know to support yourself, so you can support yourself and others through this week. Medicinal properties: a lady slipper relaxes the nerves, calms spasms, relieves pain and hysteria, and induces rest. It clears depression and affects a calm and cheerful state of mind. It is considered a nerve food and can be taken up to 3 times a day to help build a healthier nervous system. So really kind of rely on the essence of lady slipper to be that winter coat when you're out in the cold. And the keywords for you would be strong and independent feminine energy, being open to inspiring ideas, and then being too critical with words and thoughts, seeing things from another point of view, need to calm the mind and keep the feet on the ground. You're a visionary. I am willing to take my visions and dreams and share them with the world around me. So you've learned quite a bit. You have lots of wisdom, and what you know is going to be helpful this week. So that's what we have for this week, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. I know we went a little bit way over the hour. Thank you once again for being here. Love you all. And it's going to be kind of a crazy week, but we got this. Don't forget, this too shall pass. And we're going to make it. Don't forget, Dragonfly Energy gives you the energy to go it alone because you're strong within. That personal truth is within. Your connection to divine truth is within. Don't forget that. And sometimes you need to be alone. That's where the work is done. So, love you all. Bye for now.